The Tyson's Gift podcast was created to promote the normalization of metaphysical and spiritual topics, particularly the reality that we are all eternal souls having an earthly experience. Obviously, this will cover a wide berth of topics such as animal communication, mediumship, the paranormal, past life regression, energy healing, you name it. Brandon hopes to entertain his audience with fascinating discussions with experts, as well as everyday folks who have metaphysical experiences and knowledge to share. The intention is to help make esoteric topics fun, relatable, and credible for audiences of all backgrounds. And here is your host of the Tyson's Gift podcast, Brandon Wainwright.
Hello, everybody. It's welcome to the Tyson's Gift already off to a slow start. The Tyson's Gift podcast with your host, me, Brandon Wainwright, and of course, every week we start the show off with Pepper Wainwright. And if you've read the book Tyson's Gift, then you definitely know why that is. But I'm not going to give it away. You have to read to find out. So, at that note, actually, she's looking pretty comfortable this week. Huh? You getting a little used to this? All right, I'll take it. All right. All righty, I've got a great show for you this week. I'm having I'm honored to have guest Steve Smith with us. He is a instructor, I guess professor you could call him, and an administrator at Delphi University of Spiritual Studies in McKaysville, Georgia. And it's a place that I've been attending for a while now. I've taken quite a few classes there, and it's really just helped me exponentially in terms of my spiritual growth. I've also met some amazing people there, amazing instructors, and anybody that is trying to get to launch their start, I highly, or not even their start, anybody, whether you're advanced or just starting out in metaphysics, if you really have an interest and you want to learn from the best and you want to be in a great environment with great people, I highly recommend Delphi. So, but as if we have remarkable healings with Mr. Todd Bates, our glorious producer, definitely want to bring him on here to discuss any healings that we had this last week, and we did. So come on in, Todd.
Hey, Brandon, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm feeling phenomenal.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. So I've talked about this on the show a number of times, but the technique that I've been working with Todd on for the last week is reflective etheric healing. Todd, are you cool with talking about why
Absolutely.
we did that? Okay. So Todd has Crohn's, or we're hoping it's now in the past. We're going to wait and see how this works out. We'll keep you informed as time goes on. But Todd had an attack of Crohn's in the past week, and he asked me to do some healing, and I thought, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity to do the reflective etheric healing, because where it's at is it's in his small intestine. And so I was thinking, well, let's replace the small intestine they will take that perfect blueprint from the reflective layer of the etheric body, and through the process that I learned at Delphi, we will replace the body part. And so it takes three times to do it completely. But we did it the first time, Todd, right? Why don't you describe what you experienced?
It was amazing. The first time, first of all, I want to say he doesn't pay me for anything. He doesn't do anything like that. And I went into this with just a total open mind that hopefully everybody else does. But what this felt like, what Brandon does is calms you before the process, because I was real anxious. So the calming to me was almost like the anesthesia before everything happened, the sterilization. My body felt ready to receive, and this warmth, tingling, almost like the area that you're working on, you can feel it almost. I could feel it almost falling asleep, almost like your hand falling asleep, a tingle. And then with today's session, especially, oh my goodness. I could feel, because I haven't felt anything down there in 2 days, because after a flare, which I want to add. Normally lasts about 2 weeks. This one lasted 4 days. 4 days. It's gone. I'm totally no pain. But
And you were saying you usually end up in the hospital, right?
usually hospitalized. Yeah, they normally last a couple weeks, and I can't bear the pain anymore and have to go in. And this one, I wish I could put it into words, and I've been thinking about it too. It's hard to put into words the energy healing itself because people probably think you can't feel it, you can't hold it, you can't touch it, you can't grab it. It's everywhere, and I felt it everywhere on my body. I could feel the garbage being taken out. I could feel it leaving, and I could feel new, fresh coming in. Whether it was some kind of light or what have you, I could feel something coming in there and seeding itself, planting itself. And then after today's session, which knocked me out, by the way. I mean,
Oh, good. That's always a good thing. That's a good thing.
yeah, I was for the first time I was AWOL for a couple hours, but it was good. And that's it. My body accepted it, and I feel like it accepted it. I feel wonderful. I feel different. I feel like my guts are working again. You know,
That's
the,
wonderful.
the plumbing, it's good to go. It's
So
just
you so you said so the first session we did, you said it was like what did you say? And it went from a 10,
oh, the
barely
pain
bearable,
level
down to a 4
back down to a
after
4. And the second session, it was on the rise a little bit, and then it
and that was the very next day, if I
the very
recall.
next
Well, that was
day,
a very yeah. And it,
and
you
then
said
it
it was up to
subsided.
like where was it up to again?
It
Like a
it was
6?
up to a 6 that day, but remember it what it did was it lowered because it was up in my upper region, then it went down
That's
near
right.
my pelvic region, and it sat there for a minute and then just like 1 second, it's just gone. And I can't explain something like that. I don't want to explain something like that.
Well,
That's
it's
amazing.
it's the I especially since we're working with distance here. Again, I'm down in Tallahassee, Florida, and you're up in Illinois. It's not us doing it. It's not. I mean, we're participating, but it's the spirit doctors and
You
the
know,
archangels, and they're the ones that are actually doing the work. We're just being open and channeling. So, got to give them credit. Whatever it is, it's
credit.
beautiful. It's light. It's full of light.
I just I can't
So,
thank you enough. I can't thank them enough. I can't thank Steve enough.
and I need to add that is that and Steve, who we're going to bring on here momentarily, he's the one that taught me, and me amongst other people that were there that day. But he taught me how to do that healing, that reflective etheric healing. So, kind of ironic in a very positive way that he happens to be on the show tonight.
I love it.
So, yeah.
I
So,
love it.
without further ado, let's bring the man of the hour on. Hey,
Hey,
Steve.
Brandon. How you doing? Good to see
Good.
you.
Good to see you. Thanks for
Thank
being here.
thank you for having me.
Anybody that knows Steve knows that he's kind of a soft-spoken guy, but he's full of knowledge and power. So don't he's kind of like that guru that just softly speaks. I'm a little louder. He's more powerful than me though by a lot. Um, I want to encourage everybody, if you have any comments that you want to make, feel free to check in. Sherry Bauman says, "Good evening. Good evening to you, ma'am." So I want to introduce you a little. I talked a little bit about it, but you are an instructor at
Yes.
Delphi University in McKaysville,
Yeah.
Georgia.
Mhm.
Which, if anybody's familiar with that, it's in a beautiful part of Georgia in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It's it's a vacation spot actually for some people. It's absolutely gorgeous. The campus is on Cherokee, on sacred Cherokee healing grounds. It's not a reservation or anything like that, but it is historically sacred Cherokee healing grounds, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And you can feel the energy when you arrive there. And it's right where North Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia meet, right in that tri-state area. So if you've never been there, if you want to go there just for the scenery, it's worth going, but you'll pick up a lot more than that. Trust me. So obviously, you have a lot of knowledge to share, but as an instructor, as a healer and all that, we'll get into all that, but you didn't start out that way, right? I mean, you were born into a more traditional religious Christian family, correct?
Yeah, I was raised through my teenage years in a tradition, in a Assembly of God church, and that kind of, but that was in a way a real cornerstone for me as far as beginning to learn about Christ and his work and what he did. And that's what gave me my initial inspiration into, where I am now.
Yeah. So you already had a pretty good relationship with Christ, but
I hope
before, yeah, at least on your end, right?
so. Yeah.
um, so what was the catalyst for you opening into the more metaphysical side of things? What was it? Was it the influences in your life, your father and your stepmom? Was it different experiences that you had? Was it a little bit of both?
Uh, Primarily, it was my father, my dad. His name is Marshall Smith.
Yeah.
He was probably a lot, probably one of the main inspirations into what I'm doing now.
And
Uh,
for those that don't know Delphi, Marshall was a big deal at Delphi. He wasn't the founder, but he was a big part of it for decades, right? Like
well,
he
yeah,
was.
he was a founder in a way. Patricia, my stepmother, Patricia Hayes, founded the school Delphi in 1974, and it progressed. She founded it in Miami, Florida, and it eventually modulated to Georgia, to North Carolina first, and then to Georgia. Um, Both are founders, but she founded the school where my dad, he developed a lot of the curriculum, brought a lot of the curriculum, especially the spiritual anatomy, which teaches the reflective, as you spoke about. And but he was probably most definitely one of my biggest influences.
And was that just because you had so much respect for him and you were seeing what was happening to him, or was how did that manifest? Because for example, my dad. I know it's completely different, but my dad was an interior designer by trade. I never had any interest in interior design. so so how is it that what about his influence made you open up the way you did?
Well, I had the opportunity of course, of having many in-depth conversation with him about metaphysical, spiritual matters. Also, he was an instructor as well. He taught for many years at Delphi, and I was fortunate enough to be able to sit in on a lot of his classes, especially his spiritual anatomy classes, which is where we teach the reflective, as you spoke of.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like the in a way, the more I sat there, the more I became inspired, to learn deeper, to go deeper, to want to know spirit intimately.
Did
And
you have any experiences aside, obviously when you're learning these things it's pretty profound, and one of the cool things about being at Delphi is that I've been pretty candid about my journey, and I don't have a lot of well, let's put it this way, they're latent in me. But there's a lot of really, really gifted people that come to Delphi. So being around those folks and getting things from their perspective and hearing about different experiences that they've had, obviously you must have been influenced by a lot of that. But what about your own experiences aside from all that? Did you have anything that any like, oh, holy smokes type of, or aha moments, anything like that?
Well, I tell you, one of it's going to sound a little odd. One of the things my dad did when I was young, probably 9, 10, 11 years old, he used to go to hear what we know as evangelists, who come, traveling evangelists who come to certain churches and preach. And he took me one time. We were actually living in Arkansas, and he took me with him one time to hear this. I don't remember his name, but after the service, the preacher asked, anybody that needs healing, please come forward. And a gentleman came forward that had one leg that was shorter than the other. And the preacher asked everybody to gather around, laying on of hands, as they called it. And he began to pray. And they asked everybody to pray from their heart. And I kind of was sitting there watching this, and I literally saw his leg and foot grow and become the same length as his other leg, his regular leg. And I was like, that opened my eyes. And I think that experience really got me curious, put me on the path, as you might say.
I guess, something like that. It's amazing how when you see actual empirical evidence of things,
Yes.
how that can change your way of seeing the world just based on your own experiences. Did that person get up and walk away like, holy smokes, I've got my legs are, yeah.
I watched him get up and walk around as if he was a normal person.
And he was.
Yeah, he was.
I should point this out too. This is something that I should have introduced you with this, but I won't name names or anything. But when Steve was teaching the reflective etheric healing to our class, which only I think was like 6 people in there. The classes are usually pretty small, which is really nice because they're intimate. You get to know people, and they're very personal with the instructors. But the person he asked for volunteers to be the crash test dummy for when he actually did his demonstration. And one of the ladies in our class, older, probably in her late 60s, I would say, she had a hip problem that had been there since she gave birth. So probably at least 30 years, maybe 40 years. And I watched this thing happen. So, and watched Steve do the procedure just as it was described. And I watched the lady cry as it happened because she was so moved by the energy she was feeling. And when she was done, she got up and walked away. And I said, how do you feel? And she said, it's like brand new. It's like brand new. And the day, I should add this to you, you probably didn't know this, but that the classroom that we were in, there's a step that goes down out into the main part of the building from there. And she almost fell the day before because of her hip, because it just wasn't, so it was significant. And no, she wasn't acting to convince the rest of us, for you skeptics out there. I just know how I used to think, and that's probably what would have gone through my head. So I'm just going to point that out. Real quick, I want to give it, as the notes pop up, I don't want to leave anybody out, but Angel Aura Spiritual Boutique says, hey, good to see you guys. Good to see you too. And Misty Lane says, so beautiful, Todd. Thank you for sharing your experience. Amazing healing facilitator, Brandon Howell. Thank you. So proud of you and your integration of this modality to your practice. Shout out to Steve at Delphi. So good stuff there. Thank you, Misty. What's that?
I said, hey, Misty.
Yeah, you do know each other.
Yes.
So there was, you definitely had, and that wasn't even really, I mean, it wasn't a metaphysical environment, but not what a lot of people would consider to be. A lot of people would consider it, that to be evangelical, showmanship. That's
Right.
how a lot of people would think of that. But the reality is that is traditional, or more, I don't know about conventional, but definitely more. Yeah, I guess conventional is the right word, because there's a lot of that goes on depending on where you live and what your taste is. But um, traditional, conventional Christianity mixed with metaphysics. I mean, it's the two, but most people wouldn't think of it like that.
Well,
Yeah,
spirit is in everything. Spirit is the culmination of all consciousnesses, not just a metaphysical, and then it's not there for traditional religion. Spirit is in all consciousnesses, and you can draw from all of it. It's just a matter of listening from the heart.
right. But I don't mean so much the reality of it, of the spirit and the energy, but I mean more in terms of how you might have viewed that at that stage of your development, where you were in the Assembly of God, right? And so, which is a more conservative denomination. And here you go to something like this. You're not thinking of it in necessarily, well, maybe your dad exposed you, maybe he explained that stuff to you more, but for a lot of people that wouldn't be in their wheelhouse at that point. But
Right.
you got to experience it nonetheless
Oh, yes.
and see it for what it was. Um, just so we know, Angel Aura Spiritual Boutique is Diane Rivera, who is a friend of mine. So
Hi, Diane.
thank you for tuning in, Diane. I appreciate it. She's a wonderful person,
Yes, she is.
and a very talented healer and intuitive. Peggy Fran says, "Hey, Steve,
Hey, Peggy.
so great to see you. Missing the mountains and Delphi. I know what you mean, Peggy."
We miss you too.
Victor Hukil, I might be butchering his name, but
Who
Hukil?
killed? Who
Hukil,
killed?
okay. He says, "Hi, Brandon, first time listener here. Thank you, Victor, for being here." And he says, "Hello again, Steve. It's good to see your face again,"
Good
which
to
I
see.
understand, because it was good for me to see your face too.
Hey, Victor.
So as you progressed along, and once you realized that, you know, that this is something, this isn't just an idea or an idealism or whatever you want to call it. This is for real. Um, how, aside from your dad asking your dad questions and having him not answer you until you ask the right question, that's something Steve tends to talk about, is that his dad was a challenging teacher. Uh, how, just can you describe the reason I'm asking these questions is that I think for a lot of people, I know myself, I really get a lot out of hearing other people's journey, especially people that have become more, really developed and taken it a long way, and what they've done in terms of their spirituality in their life, and their spiritual development, how they've impacted other people and how they see it. Because it's, when you're coming from the mainstream world, or culture, it's hard. Speaking from my own experience, it's very difficult sometimes to get that skepticism out of your mind. It's very difficult to get that pull to be conventional and do what everybody else is doing, to to not to not think that way, just because that's what everybody else is doing. And it's real easy when what you're studying and what you're seeing is so outside the mainstream, and 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 the norm is to be skeptical of guys. It's very easy to jump right in there and just let it deter you. and and I for one, I was fortunate enough to have some amazing experiences through my dog. That's how I started, and they were so powerful, and I had such a healing through those experiences, that I wasn't deterred. But that's not to say that I didn't struggle mightily, and still struggle. And some of my most intense struggles have actually come at Delphi, because Delphi, is wonderful as it is, as much as my heart opens when I go there. It's also really challenged me to, if I had to say one thing, it would be open my heart. has been what I've had the hardest time with. But it's
Respect.
happened. It's
Respect.
happening. But that's, so I guess what I'm getting is I love to hear from you and your process, because I think other people who are maybe in that same, kind of in their own journey, I think it's very affirming and validating to hear that other people, maybe went through something similar and they came out the other side, and they grew from it. So,
Well, you mean in general, or
I mean, in terms of you seeing that there is this, there's spirit. The spirit is real. So the power of spirit is real. This power of thought is real. The power of energy is real.
yeah,
And
yes,
it's full. It's not something voodoo, you know.
right,
It's not something dark. It's something that's beautiful, and something that we all have access to, and it's something that you can make a positive difference in the world with. Um, and gain a lot of understanding about your own existence and about that of others,
okay.
and what everything that's going on. Um, and you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
an integration that has to occur. You know,
I yeah, a famous early 20th century author named Annie Besant explained it really well, where she basically said that spirit in the humanness or physical is not to be separated. If the spirit, as I said before, is in all things, it's just a matter of, are you willing to pay attention? Pay attention to what the experience that you're having, and be present with that experience. Because if I may go into this a little bit,
please do. That's the whole
we
idea.
the one thing we do is that we attract all experiences to ourselves. Why? And great question. It took me a few. Is, a great question is, why am I having this experience? You're having this experience because, one, you attracted it to yourself in order to go within and learn about yourself on a spiritual level.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So, energetically, vibrationally, what you put out was drawn to you.
Yes.
Some similar. I mean, just to put it, some people might, maybe not people in the Delphi circle so much, but maybe some of my friends that, or I'm assuming it's mostly friends tuning in here, um, that don't have, that maybe this isn't so much a part of their repertoire. Um, they're hearing it and thinking, well, that sounds kind of woo woo to me. Well, what you're talking about is energy,
Right.
experiences, thoughts.
But
Those,
life,
those are energy. Those are things.
but physical life is energy too.
Right.
And we come here to learn in the physical realm. We come here to work spiritually. We're not here to take a vacation. We come here to to learn, to grow spiritually. So therefore, all our subconscious and conscious thoughts that we energize attract experiences to us, in order for us to, as I said before, to learn about ourselves. Um, the best thing you can do is pay attention in your each experience that you have, and try and begin to ask the questions, why am I having this? What am I to learn from this? Rather than reacting to the experience and all that. One of the hardest questions you can ask yourself is, what is that telling me about myself?
Yeah.
Meaning the experience that you're having. That's a hard question, to lay down the ego, to lay down the reaction, and look at it humbly from a standpoint of what is trying to, you attracted it, what is it trying to teach you? In essence, you have attracted a teacher to you to learn.
Right.
Why would you react to it negatively? You're the one that attracted it. Learn from it, because you attracted the teacher. Sort of the old cliche, I guess you call it, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's primarily with each experience that you draw into your life. You're drawing the teacher to you
Yeah.
to learn about it.
Yeah.
If
But
that
when the student is ready, whether they want to be or not, right?
sometimes
Yeah. So,
sometimes it's a surprise, but if you can keep that in the forefront of your awareness as far as understanding the experiences you have in your life and why you're having them, if you can hold that in the front of your awareness as to, oh, here's a teacher, what am I to learn from this? So that because it's indicating there are things coming up in you that you need to begin to work on and clear and heal.
yeah. Yeah, and that goes. That's one of the simplest ways to see that. I mean, aside from obviously learning from different experiences and such, but on a I'm sorry, the dogs were supposed to be removed from the
I
office, but they're
know I
still
have
in.
mine too is over here.
That's all right. It's this all started with the dogs, so let's keep them present.
Yeah.
It obviously learning from different experiences plays into this, but on a more intuitive level, when it comes to healing, you're talking about physical ailments, right? A lot of times that's the way they manifest, and so you ask yourself, that's included here. So you have a physical issue. What what is it? What is it that physical issue is trying to teach you? What
Right.
what is and that might be something as simple as your lifestyle, something maybe that you're doing physically is actually causing this injury. Well, why are you ask yourself, why are you doing that physical activity that's causing this injury? Why is it? And you can learn from it, that just on a simple level. But then it goes as deep as why is this thing, oftentimes thing that's very challenging and painful, occurring? What is it that that you're trying to learn? How did you energetically draw that in? So,
Well, go ahead.
oh well, no, go ahead. I was gonna, I don't want to go off on a bunch of details about it, but then you get into the chakras and where you're balanced spiritually, and what areas of your spiritual being energetically need balancing, and uh, you know,
Well, I guess you say to kind of lump them all together. Buddha, the masters, many of the masters taught one concept in many different ways. Uh, in healing, you must come back to the body in order to self-realize or to enlighten. The body, the most important relationship you have in your life is with yourself. The things that go on with your physical body are the teachers again showing up to saying, okay, what is going on here? Pain is one aspect that'll bring you present to what's going on real quick.
mm-hmm.
But they taught you must come back to the body, if I'm following you here.
Yeah,
um, but we must, all the masters, Christ, Buddha, Krishna, all the masters taught uh, about in that sense of healing. I wanted to go back just a moment when you and Todd were talking in the beginning of the show, and you were talking about the reflective. We must remember that Healy, the receiver, and the healer are working together to
yes,
heal. In
absolutely.
essence, what you're doing is activating the healer. The healer is activating the healer within that person wanting to be healed so they can heal themselves.
You hear that, Todd? You've been activated, and you're a darn good healer.
So everybody is, in essence, is a healer.
Yeah.
So as I said, what you're doing is activating, inspiring the healer within that person who's asking for healing. You're waking that healer up and saying, okay, you've got the awareness, now let's go heal this.
That's right.
but also it's also kind of twofold in a way, because it opens up, hopefully for that person, it'll open up for them to seek deeper into spirit and to begin to open up and get deeper on their path.
And that, and to your point, that's what Christ was all about, right?
Amen. Yes.
He wasn't just there trying to change the world by making everybody healthier. He was trying to teach about spirit through those amazing miracles that he could do on a physical level.
Well, we got to remember one thing: those that were healed by the Christ asked for it. In other words, to give healing to another, they must ask for healing. As the blind man sat on the side of the road when Christ was walking past, and Christ asked, or the blind man asked, "Does the master walk by me?" I'm paraphrasing. And Christ stopped and turned and said, "Yes." And the blind man said, "Will you heal me of my blindness?" And the Christ said, "Well, walk over here and we'll work on it. And I'll heal your sight." How did the man know where to walk? He was blind. He knew it was the Christ. He followed his feeling to the Christ. It ended up that he couldn't rise completely into that healer within that blind man couldn't rise completely to the healing, but he rose to a point where he needed physical evidence. So the Christ spit in the dirt, made mud, and rubbed it in his eyes and said, "Go wash it out and you'll see." But what the Christ was doing through whatever matter of healing he was doing needed to be used was the inspiration, waking the healer up in that blind man so that he could heal his own blindness. But I often say, and I think you've heard me say in class, we don't have any recording or writings of the conversation that went on between Christ and the healee.
Yeah.
I'd love to know the conversation that went on, because I know one of the questions I know that Christ asked is, "Do you think we can do this, can heal this?" The important word is we, Christ and the healee, working
Yeah.
together to heal this, because the Christ knew that healer within that person needed to be awakened and needed to rise into one thought so that healing could take place.
Yeah.
That,
But there was so much more healing that occurred than just his eyes,
oh
right?
yes, yes,
And affirmation, validation, and 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 not just within that person, the blind man, but those that observed this.
yes,
That's what it was all about, is waking people up and showing them the light,
yes.
right? And that's what I think most. I'm speaking for myself, but most people that are healers, the metaphysical healers, that's why they're doing it. It's not because there's other, well, actually it's a pretty awesome way to heal somebody. It's pretty complete, but it's about teaching it and exposing people to the spirit and the light in the process. At least that's what it is for me, and I think that's what it is for most people. Um,
Well, I mean, you can only, in essence, as I say, lay it on someone's plate,
yeah,
and they have to choose to accept it, take a bite out of it, whatever you want to call it. And you know,
I'll give you a good example, and make fun of my dad in the process. Um, so I've done the reflective etheric healing enough now. Actually, officially put it on my website too. So for those of you out there that would like a session or three, because it takes three total, you can go on my website and get it now. I'm officially offering it, but I wanted to make sure I could really do it with confidence before I started offering it to people, and I shouldn't have. I know, Steve, I shouldn't have questioned, but I did. I
That's
wanted to make
okay.
sure. but
That's
but
okay.
the only person that I haven't had a successful healing with on that was my dad. and and the reason for that, and he even told me afterwards, he goes, well, I'm not so sure that I should have been doing that. He had questions. He wasn't 100% convinced. And so he had, he had
But
reservations.
but you must remember too, healing, no matter, it's not about success. It's about the healing took place, and on some level the healing did take place.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. But to your point though, it's a partnership between the practitioner and the client or the receiver, and the most, depending on what is in the person's highest good, the results are going to be what they're going to be. But in order for you to attain that highest good, it is a partnership, and it is the person receiving the healing needs to be open and willing to work with spirit. That's key. And even regardless of why the blockage is there, it might be they don't they're they're so skeptical that their energy blocks it. That's energy of skepticism. It could be that somehow they've got reservations about spiritually, whether maybe on some level they know they're supposed to experience this difficulty, this ailment that they have, and then they're not meant to be healed of it just yet because they're learning something from it. Could be all that, right?
Yes, and if I might circle back, what you're dealing with on a physical level, I don't like saying this much, but it doesn't just pop up. You attracted it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting direct here.
No, absolutely. No. And I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I've got some of my own right now that I'm dealing with.
Well, we're going to work on them.
Absolutely. I think that I've actually addressed the well, I feel that I've addressed the spiritual issues that attracted them. Now it's a matter of getting rid of the physical manifestations. Um, just a couple of other comments that have been put in. Sherry Bauman says, this is in response to your healing of our beautiful classmate with the hip issue. Um, I guess my question has been answered. Even if someone has had a condition of over 30 years, it is possible to restore to normal.
Possible.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, there's a nature of things, right, that you got to work within. But yeah, possible. And I watched it. I watched it happen right in front of me. Um, I'm actually going to see her next week too, so
Good.
it'll
Then
be
one thing to explain, just real short, you know, a physical malady, energetic malady, whatever, there's layers to it. It's not just there and you heal it and it's gone. There may be layers to it on a what we call faulty thought level, which is what causes dis-ease. Faulty thoughts.
yeah,
That is the root cause of all dis-ease.
yeah,
Disease does not just pop out of the blue and say, "Oh, now you have this." No, this is what you attracted into your life to teach you about yourself, and there are layers of that on a mental emotional level that you begin to work with. And as you do the healings, you're working with those mental emotional levels, sort of like peeling the onion and
yeah.
understanding why, that level or a few levels. And then next healing, you may deal with a few more levels. But in essence, it's the teacher, and
Yeah.
you are learning, and it's providing spiritual growth in the process of it.
And to your point, one of the big points that you made in the class that I took to heart, um, was with the reflective etheric healing. Let's just say, for example, you're healing someone's kidney, and it's that, we can do that. We can replace someone's kidney through the reflective layer of their etheric body, but the kidney being in the solar plexus chakra area of your abdomen, which is, for people that don't know, that's like your center of personal power and taking charge for yourself, and depending on what kidney it is it on the left side, the feminine side, what are you not receiving? Or it could be in the masculine side, what are you not giving to yourself? If the client hasn't addressed the faulty thoughts and the imbalances that are occurring in their life, it isn't necessarily beneficial to do a reflective etheric healing, because it's just going to manifest again. They're not addressing the issues that are really there, that they're ideally that they came here to learn about. And so I just wanted to
Well,
that
that's a good point, because I've emphasized that in class. I had many discussions with my dad over that, and emphasizing about another mental emotional healing we teach at the school called Rohan, which deals with faulty thoughts on the mental emotional level. And I had many talks with him to where, I said, why do reflective healing if you're not going to work with the mental emotional? Because what is there causing the problem is a faulty thought. You can replace the body part all day, but if you don't work with a faulty thought, you replace it, it's just going to go back to the same condition it was in.
Yeah. And you were very, you may explain that in a very poignant, eloquent way in the class. And I definitely took it to heart. So yeah, and that just drives home the idea that if you've got something going on, don't necessarily just look at the physical manifestation of it and try to alleviate that. Look at the aspects of your life and your thoughts and where you're at emotionally, physically, or not physically, but spiritually. How are you drawing that to you?
Right.
And it helps to have some knowledge of the chakras and spiritual anatomy, but they're all tied together. So when people, people kind of allude to the idea, oh yeah, physically we're physically and mentally, emotionally, it's all tied together. Well, it's true, but there's you can go deeper into that and really look at it. So I definitely want to get there's a couple other things. Misty says, could Steve speak on meditation as far as how powerful, transformative his experiences have been and what he has witnessed through the experiences of others he has guided through meditation, I guess. And that's kind of a big one. You don't have to go too, just, maybe any pop off, at the top of your head.
Meditation is the golden highway, meaning meditation is the highway to self-realization. Meditation, as far as my experience is concerned, has been profound. Meditation is not to fix anything. Meditation is for the purpose of deepening one's spiritual walk on their path. That's what it's for. It's not to fix. I don't think it's to fix anything. Spirit's not so much concerned with fixing physical problems, as far as, remedying whatever problem you have out there. But meditation is so important. It's so important in helping you, leading you to know the potentials of spirit. Yes, you may meditate as far as what's going on in your life. Meditation is a way of opening up and giving you and helping you see, sense all the potential of spirit. What is there? Which path do you want to choose to go down? But spirit opens up the potential, and primarily, meditation is for that purpose. Is realizing the full potential of spirit.
She also said intention and belief, they can't, and the desire to be healed. If you manifest it yourself, you can heal it yourself.
Exactly.
and keep the faith. Okay, I don't know if we're oh, wait a minute. I was concerned that we are butting up. Nope. Okay, so we don't have to necessarily end right on the hour. So, which is good because I want you to be able to talk freely about our role. So, Steve, when I approached you about maybe doing the podcast, we discussed possible subjects, and one of the things that you told me that you would like to discuss is how each of us, the responsibility that we have in each of our own lives, and not talking about, going and working a 40-hour job and paying the bills type of thing, but how you impact what's happening in your life, your relationships, how you're impacting the world, the energies around you, all that stuff. And so I would love to ask you about that. And, in terms of just what you see politically, socially, in terms of our society being so divided, and more so now
Okay.
probably ever. But, I know it's a big general subject, but, but, but it
We'll,
kind of,
we'll pare it down.
yeah, go for it.
Well, all must realize. Let me begin it with how I'll give you the question I asked in the morning meditation on the first morning of our class that everybody must begin with, called in-depth channeling. The one question I ask is what do you do in every moment that creates your life? What you do in every moment that creates your life in each moment is you make choices. You make a choice in every moment of your life. You could make a choice not to get up in the morning and go to work. Well, you know what possibly can happen because you don't go to work. Or you could make this choice to go here and have this experience. No matter what you do, you make a choice and have an experience. What I'm getting to is you are the creator of your life. Nobody else is. Nobody else creates your life for you. You create your life in each moment through your choices that you make. And what choices that you make are really kind of not separated, but you make choices from two places, basically. You can make choices, what we call, from the ego. And they are quite interesting as far as experiences are concerned, because the ego is more or less a child, doesn't know any better. Or you can rise to the heart and make choices of love through the heart of love, and create those experiences in your life. But the general idea is, in you allow me to speak on this, is understanding that you have to understand you create your own life. Nobody else does that for you.
Yeah.
And if you want to, and everybody's trying to create a better life. Well, begin to look at the choices that you're making in your life to create a better life. Some of you may be out there wondering, well, I make this choice to do this and it blows up in my face. Well, go back to, well, if it blows up in your face, what is it teaching you about yourself? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You are the creator. Nobody else creates for you. But a technique I give, a little short technique I can give, as far as, and kind of going back to answering Misty's question, in that first morning, I give a meditation modality for everybody to use. I give it because I want people to do it, and it's called heart breathing. And if you don't meditate, or you meditate infrequently or whatever, it doesn't matter. Heart breathing is getting in a comfortable place and starting with the in breath, breathing it up from your root chakra, or you can breathe it up from Mother Earth through the soles of your feet, but primarily feeling that breath come up through your body all the way into your heart, holding it in your heart for a moment. Why you hold it in your heart? To feel yourself in your heart, what it's like to be in your love. And then on your out breath, your exhale, just imagine you're breathing that breath out of your heart. That's heart breathing. It's very simple. And spend, 2 or 3 minutes a day doing that. I don't, but one thing about meditation, going back to a little more of what Misty asked, you want to make meditation, you want to take it off your to-do list and begin to form it into the center of your life and let everything else revolve around it. It's important for you to make meditation the center of your life. If you don't know what to do in meditation, do the heart breathing. It's very simple. Feel it come, in breath, feeling it come up through the body all the way into the heart, holding it, feel the heart, feel being in your heart. Exhale, breathe, imagine breathing it out of your heart, and do that for 2-3 minutes a day. What you're doing is you're bringing yourself present in your life to where you can realize the full potential of spirit.
And what literally happens for people that maybe have never done meditation, I was one of those people up until Tyson passed away. So, what literally happens is you're centered, you become more present of mind, you're more aware of your body. But what literally happens is your conscious mind starts to shut down, and your subconscious, what's going on inside of you, your inner thoughts, start to manifest, and so that you can consciously be aware of them, because you've quieted yourself so much. What happens to me a lot is I'll remember dreams that I had the night before that I had no recollection of until that moment. That happens all the time.
Okay, I want to say one more thing. Besides, it quiets your mind to begin to become more aware of the subconscious, as you said. But also meditation opens you up to feeling. And that is, in the feeling lies the truth. Yeah, it quiets you. It quiets you so that you can begin to feel. You're in your heart. The heart is feeling.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying.
I give a perfect example of that from my own experiences. My mom, I told you this, my mom passed away on the 22nd of December. And, I haven't had a real emotional response to it. I mean, it's come and gone. I've had moments, but and a lot of that has to do with my perspective on life and spirit. And but when I did get really emotional was when I did a meditation and healing for her to help her move into the light, and that love and that some of that angst for her came right to the surface, tapped right into it. So I couldn't agree more. It does. It helps you get into the feeling of where you're really at, and it helps you access, your being, your spirit, your higher self.
Yeah, and it opens you up to feeling. Yes, it quiets the mind and all that, but don't do meditation just to quiet the mind. Meditation is for opening yourself, for communication. In a way, but as well for opening the feeling, because within the feeling lies the truth.
Yeah, and that's the thing is there's a lot of people out there that have very rigorous, high-paced lives, and where they don't have a lot of time to slow down and take it in. They're just trying to accomplish, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not spiritual people. They just, for whatever reason, haven't made space in that, and by having that meditation be a part of their daily, not routine, but a part of their daily life, it ensures that they're going to connect, and they're going to. Yeah.
But just kind of going back to part of the question you asked, as far as what I was talking about in being the creator, you asked about on the what's going on in the world, and what is moving through is that those of us who know this, for many years, we talked about a shift occurring. We're in it. We're slap dab
Yeah.
in the middle of it. We are shifting in consciousness. And yes, it's a rough ride, but what it's doing through the things that have come about that has made people, slowed people down, has made people more introspective, if that's the right word.
I think so. That's a good word.
And it's slowed people down. Like, I don't like I don't like this word, but COVID, we all know what that is. It slowed people down to a crawl. And but it was I don't speak for the ones who suffered from it. I feel for them. But it did slow people down enough to give them an opportunity to look within, to live with themselves.
Yeah.
It gave that opportunity. That was a huge opportunity for people to begin to take huge spiritual steps in their life if they wanted. Some did, some didn't. So be it. You know, each person has a choice in what they want to do. But we're seeing a great shift go on politically, and uh, but within each person, it's sort of pushing everybody back home here.
Yeah.
And making them deal with themselves, because a lot of people, as you say, have busy lives. They live out here a lot. They don't
Yeah.
live in the body, and it's pushed people back into the body and say, you got to live at home. If you want to be present in your life, you got to come home.
Yeah.
If you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
I do. I definitely do.
You got it. As I said earlier in the show, the masters taught it. To truly self-realize, you've got to come back to the body. This is what it means. You got to come home here. Heart breathing will bring you here into the body.
Yeah, I just commenting on that. And when I didn't know how to meditate, so I just started breathing, into the nose, out to the mouth, and I instinctively, that's what I did. I didn't bring it up through the root. I brought it down through the crown, from the crown down, but right into the heart, and yeah, and you can physically feel it as it's happening. If for
And the thing
people,
about, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, just for people that have never experienced meditation before, there is a physical sensation that occurs as you move that light through your body.
The heart is home. Come back to it, and make it a practice. Make that a practice. And thank you, Misty, for asking that question, because that, as I said, meditation is a golden highway.
Yeah.
If you want to begin grow spiritually, meditation is the center of that growth.
Yeah.
And if you heart breathing, that's all you do. And I do that a lot, because it is very powerful.
Yeah, I do that more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very powerful. And but begin to make that practice. I can't emphasize that enough. Make it the center of your life.
Don't
You
you
don't
don't you have a guided meditation for that on iTunes?
Yes, I have the meditations I do in the beginning class we teach, the week-long in-depth channeling class. They're on Amazon, iTunes, and Spotify.
I know you didn't come on here to advertise that, but I just
No,
thought I'd point it out, because I don't know if I told you that, but I actually, after in-depth channeling, I downloaded the One Who Cares and the heart breathing one. So
they're
they're
on
very
there.
good. They're very good. You should go on
And
there.
especially the One Who Cares, you will love that. But they're all there. There's 5 of them. And no, I didn't come to advertise them, but
I still, when I think of in-depth channeling, a lot of times that's where my mind goes, was to the One who cares. I can hear your voice in those morning meditations. That's the impact it had on me. Diane says, I use the heart breathing also to help me ground. And Sherry says, heart breathing. I need to remember this. Yeah, Sherry, definitely go and look it up. It's real easy to find. Just Steve Smith, heart breathing, or Steve Smith.
It's Meditations of the Heart.
Oh, there you go. But it's on there and it's easily accessible. And Cheryl says, thank you again. So apparently she's gotten some good stuff out of the show tonight.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Do you have anything? I mean, I know you're not promoting any a book or any website or anything like that. But Peggy France says, I always return to Steve's meditations. So,
thank you, Peggy.
So that's a vote of confidence for you right there. Is there anything that you want to encourage people to? I mean, besides realizing that they create their world and their life, and is there anything that you want to articulate for people to be aware of?
Well, as I have told many classes, I said I sort of boiled spirit down to two things, and those two things are pay attention and keep moving. Pay attention is awareness. Be aware of in each experience, be present in each experience that you have, because what the experience that is before you is a teacher. Keep moving is draw from the experience everything you can draw from and keep moving. Keep flowing with the river of spirit, as I say. Don't stop and say that, you've reached the epiphany of something. Yeah, you've drawn that. Now go on what you've been given and use it for your own spiritual growth as well as helping others. Because what you're doing is that the experiences that you have will also turn, as I call, wisdom in waiting. The experiences you have and the wisdom you draw from it will be wisdom that you can help other people with who are going through similar things that you've already been through. And you can be able to help, because that's sort of the name of the game here. We help each other.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, make meditation your center. Grow, but get back into the body. Don't live out here. Get back into the body and begin to live home. Feel the body. Feel what it's like being in the body. Feel your toes, your feet, your shins, your knees, your thighs, all the way up your torsos, your arms, up into your head. If anything, while you're breathing in meditation, take that moment to feel each part of your body, what it feels like being in your body. Is so important. And I guarantee you, and we don't have another hour, but I guarantee you, by doing that type of thing, it will open up even greater potential for your spirit. But as the masters taught, as I said in the beginning, to truly self-realize, to truly enlighten, you must get back in the body. You must come back to the body. Buddha emphasized this probably the most. And guess what's in that body? The healer.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when you ask for healing, you're asking to have your healer activated so you can heal yourself.
That's right.
But if I may add one more tiny thing in healing. Of course. When you're healing something, when you have something going on, you want to heal it, approach being healed not through something is wrong with me, I need to heal it, but approach it through an opportunity to spiritually grow, an opportunity to learn about yourself, so that you have a greater potential of healing that malady that you might have, physical or mental, emotional. Is that?
In other words, learn what it has to teach.
Yes, instead of going at it from something is wrong with me, I need to heal it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes perfect sense.
You can't get too much done through that thought. You must approach it. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy when you got some serious malady, but if you can approach it from the standpoint of it's an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a much healthier way to look at it. And like you said, just from a practical standpoint, if you approach it from that to learn, you're in the process of doing that, you're going to address the root cause
Right.
of it and get rid of the problem. You get a better chance of really truly alleviating that ailment if you look at it as a teacher.
Yes.
Not because it's woo woo, but because you want, if no, for no other reason, do it for that, because you really do want to get to the root of the problem.
Exactly.
Uh, let's see. Cheryl says, my Native American flute in A grounds me and is incredible when I play it. So
Keep playing it.
yeah, be playing it. And Misty says, know thyself. That's
No,
you,
no better words. And another one from a profoundly aware person not too long ago has passed, uh, by a man named Gandhi. Be the change you want to be. If you want to change, it must start here first. If you want to change what's out there, if you want to change the world, change yourself first and be that change.
yeah.
Because where did all this come from that's going on? Came from here
Yeah.
in each
That's
of
it.
us.
You know,
We're the creator.
just to comment on that, that it is such a simple concept, but in our, in our world today, with people that are, they want to have all the likes and the clicks, and they want to get credit for these big changes, and they want to, be this big leader. And most of the time, that motivation, if you, not always, and we need people that are movers and shakers like that, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times people, and I think if you really search within yourself, looking within myself and what I've done in the past, not that I've been like a big mover and shaker, but it's a lot of times it's ego driven. You're not coming from your heart, you're coming from a desire to show the world how badass you are. and that isn't coming from a place of love, and that isn't, the impact that you can have, to your point about Gandhi, by changing your heart and having that influence others, is far more powerful. You're going to have a much stronger, more powerful impact on the people around you, certainly, but there's a chain reaction there. You affect the person around you, they affect the person around them. We're all connected energetically.
Yes, good
Yeah.
point. What you do in the way of what you do in the way of expressing yourself has an effect on all souls simultaneously. If you deal out harsh words and angry words at another person, you're not only affecting that person and yourself, but you're affecting all souls in this earth simultaneously.
Yeah.
You're affecting. So you might want to ask the question when you're ready to deliver those harsh or angry words at somebody. You might, when it's back here getting ready to be delivered, you might want to ask before you deliver it, is this going to help?
Yeah.
Is it going to inspire? Is it going to heal? If you can't answer yes to those questions, then what good is it going to do?
Yeah.
And as the Hopi says, back it goes. Throw it away. Because if you want to create a more loving life, your expression needs to be loving too, because you know who you affect through what you deliver in your expression, your action, your deed.
Exactly.
It affects all souls simultaneously.
And most importantly, you.
Yes. Yes.
It's going to affect you the most.
If I could say anything, keep that right in the front, right forefront of your awareness, in that your expression, your deed, your action. Look at what you're going to do, because you know who you're going to affect.
Yeah.
You love someone and express your love. Guess what you just did? You loved every soul on this earth simultaneously.
Yep.
You affected them lovingly. But if you're going to deliver some harsh words and actions, same difference.
Yeah. Exactly.
Think about what you're getting ready to deliver about who you're affecting.
I think that was so articulate and eloquent and a great point to end our show on. I want to let people, you always remember the first thing and the last thing, right? That's how our brains work. So let's leave it at that, because I think that's a really beautiful and important point. Yeah. With that in mind, maybe I should stop always. One of my things, I like to tell dirty jokes when the show first starts, and that's how it starts off. Maybe I shouldn't do that, since they always remember the first thing and the last thing. Yeah. Anyway, but you don't have you don't have any website or anything like that you want
Just take a look at Delphi's website. I'm there. I'm glad to help you out. And I got the meditations online, as I said before. And no, I don't have a website, or I don't have majority of my work is, is my work at Delphi.
Yeah, the product is the students that he influences and the impact that they have.
Yeah. And we have fun. And if you like just to visit and come and visit, give us a call. And DelphiU.com is the website. Just give us a call, and we'll be glad to help you out in any way we can. And
not to be mistaken for Delphi. That's a whole other universe. I've just noticed a lot of people, they mix the two of them up. So, and if you can't remember that website, just Delphi University of Spiritual Studies. That's a good way to go. Yeah, I will say that Delphi I've already said this on the show, but it has had such a positive impact on me. It's helped me grow and open, and I look forward to much more growth there.
Well, we'll see you in a few weeks to continue.
Yes, I will see you in a few weeks. So, just to so we have that a little plug. If you haven't read Tyson's Gift yet, please do. I think you'll enjoy it. If it's the story of my dog Tyson and I and my family. It reads an awful lot like Marley and Me, but that's the first half of the book, and then the second half of the book is the spiritual awakening that his life and passing caused in me. But it's not a downer. It's a positive book. Of course, it has a sad moment in it.
It's an awesome book. I've read it, and it's an awesome book, and I appreciate you gifting me that to read.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Awesome
I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And also, if you're interested in my healing offerings, Tyson'sGiftHealing.com, if you'd like to go check that out. But definitely, if you have any inclination to see where your spiritual journey might take you, and you want to explore and experience Delphi, please do go and check them out, because you won't regret it. Even my friends out on the West Coast, first time I attended there, I was still living in California, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
If for nothing else, it's fun to hear people with a Southern drawl, I living in the South, I love it. I love hearing people with the Southern drawl. It's great.
Yeah.
So, all right, Steve. Well, hey, thank you so much. And if you don't mind, stick around.
All right. And Brandon, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely.
Todd, if you can hear me, keep trucking, keep doing it. You're in good hands. And I wanted to also say thank you to everybody who chimed in, comments and all. Thank you very much. Glad you could be here. But most of all, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Brandon, for having me tonight.
It was a pleasure, and we'll do it again if you're willing, of course.
Cheryl
says her book just came in the mail. So thank you for getting it, Cheryl. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoy it. And Diane says, great show. See you at Delphi.
I'll see you soon.
And Misty says, thanks, y'all. I guess she's responding to the Southern drawl comment, which is awesome. Yeah. All right, my friend, stick around. I'll see you in just a minute. Thanks. See you next week.
The truth is here and now. on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.